Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's really wonderful to be here with so many people who I have known and loved for so many years. And I just said to several people, going a 32-year career, you don't do that if you're not having fun and you're not doing meaningful work and you're not with people that you really enjoy working with. And that means supporters in the community, that means day-to-day activity, that means donors and business people and the whole crew. It's important that that all be positive, and it has been very positive for me. So I appreciate all of you coming. I know we have people from managed care. We have people from the business community. I have friends from high school that I see. No kidding, from law school and family here that are also here to support. And so it's really a joy for me to welcome everybody and have you join us in this Strong Communities Luncheon. But really, this does not happen without the generous support of so many donors who have helped us put this on. And in particular, our silver sponsor, the Soren Group. Are there members of the Soren Group here in the audience? There. Thank you, Soren Group. So this is their unplanned commercial. Soren Group does IT support, and CenterPointe operates in 2 different cities with about 200 seats, and we have a fairly complex IT environment, and Soren is our support in all of that and keeps us running without hesitation. So we really appreciate what you do and how well you do it. Thank you for all of that and for supporting this. We also want to acknowledge the elected officials who are in the room. I was trying to look around and say hello. Are there any other, or are they all out on the street corner right now? I see some pointing. There, Sandra's back there. Welcome. Are there others? So, this is election day, and the issues are there, and the people are running. And I just want to say, and Sandra, you can be the representative. Thank you for all that you're doing, because it is a huge sacrifice to serve in elected office. They're family, jobs, and elected office, and you can only do 2 and maybe a half of those things. And sometimes families really take a hit. So I appreciate all the people that are choosing to serve, and so thank you, Sandra, and to the rest that have. We also so I just want to, this is obviously a huge day for me in that it is the last gala of a 32-year career, but CenterPointe goes back further than that, and we are 52 years old. And what started as a small organization providing substance use disorder treatment in the early 1970s then has evolved into CenterPointe, which is a full-service healthcare organization focusing on the needs of whole people. So it isn't just substance, it isn't just mental health, it goes on to primary care and housing and supportive services that really help the person. So the need that we have been seeing is incredible. In fact, last year we served about 5,200 people, and which is the largest in our history. And that was a 16.7% increase in just our outpatient services, let alone the other services. And we're now helping more people than ever, operating both in Lincoln and in Omaha. Many of the individuals we serve are also operating on less than $1,000 a year. So I'm going to repeat that because it's a significant number. We served 5,200 people last year, and 54% of them made less than $1,000 a year, which means zero. So with that, you really need the help that CenterPointe can offer if you have illness, mental illness, physical health illness, substance use disorders. And so CenterPointe becomes critical for those people to get the help they need to be able to get back on track and connected with their families and with jobs and productive in society. So it doesn't happen all alone. It doesn't happen just because of CenterPointe. It happens because of this. Because communities come out and join together and hold hands and play different parts in supporting all this. And so for that, I'm appreciative. We're in a tumultuous time right now. Just on the way in the door, I was having a conversation. What does what's going on in Washington mean for you all? I wish I knew. What I'm told is that there's no way that this will move forward without Medicaid being cut. And Medicaid's about 87% of what we bill out every year. And so when that isn't available, people are not going to get the care they need without the resources, and it will push the state and counties and cities to step up in ways that they're not having to right now. And so we wait to see what is going to happen and then are ready to respond to that in whatever way we can. But to the extent that you are interested in contacting and in particular our senators, to say do not cut Medicaid because it will ripple so far through the community that it will hurt a lot of jobs, industries, people who really need help. And so if you are inclined to do that, please do. I have done it to help them understand what the ripple effect is. So I want to educate them on what these decisions mean. So the person, I need to recognize Marin King and Megan Mosslander. I see Marin in the back. Marin, stand up. She's in the back corner. And she and Megan have put all this together. And so I want to recognize you for all the details you have done to carry this off in such a cool way. Thank you for that. And there's Megan coming in the door. So Marin has known me for a little while, but she hasn't really gotten to know me. Because she gave me, after 32 years of service, she gave me 3 sentences to say about my 32 years of service. So I boiled it down to a page of bullet points. Because I need to thank people who have been instrumental in this. Not because of me, but because of what you have done to help CenterPointe expand to serve 5,200 people, 5,200 people. And so it starts with our board of directors. So those that are on the board of CenterPointe in the room, could you please stand up to be recognized? All right, let me add to that. If you've been on the board of CenterPointe, then please also stand up to be recognized. And I've seen several in the room. Yes. Thank you. And Susan Scott, you were on the board in 1974. 2 years after it was started. It was written out in 72, but started operations in 73. So Susan goes way back. But when I go around the community now to different meetings, people come up to me and go, you know, every dang meeting I go to, there's somebody from CenterPointe there. And I go, perfect. That's exactly what we want. We want to be in all facets of the community, helping and thinking and working as a community to help the services get to the people who need them. But also it shows what the leadership group is interested in doing. So I want the leadership team, the senior leadership team, to stand up and be recognized. So Tammy Lewis Arndt, who you'll get more from in a little bit, and she is the incoming CEO and is the Chief Operating Officer right now. Tammy leads a big portion of the organization in terms of the operations. And then Ryan Carruthers is the Chief Clinical Officer, and he's back there and flying the flag just like. It's a green tie, but it's got a CenterPointe logo on it. So, Isaac French, who helps our quality improvement and data operations. And so Isaac gathers the data and then turns it into information so we can make decisions about what to do in programs and all throughout the organization. We're very data-driven in our culture. Luke Reef is the Director of Human Resources. Jane Keene is our Director of Facility Operations. And many don't know, we have 14 facilities, 13 in Lincoln and one good-sized one in Omaha, and then some little facilities, and Jane and her crew take care of all of those. So when you see one of our buildings and see how nice it is, they all stay that way because of Jane and her team. And they're shoveling it, they're fertilizing, they're mowing it, they're doing, they flip apartments, because we have 200 units of housing. And so they're in doing that all right now. And in fact, I had conversation with her the other day, and I think they were flipping 5 apartments on that day that we spoke. Not just that day, but going on. So there's a ton of work. Jane and her crew do a great job. Ashley Volnick is over our residential programs, and we have about 100 beds of residential services. So she oversees all of that and works with the program directors. Amy Borchers then is in charge of our outpatient services, and so everything you see at 12th and South in terms of outpatient service, Amy oversees all that. Amber Dirks is over what we call community response. So when the community has needed something, we step up. That's part of our culture. We want to be at the ready position and always be ready to step up to the event. So whether it's the crisis response, street outreach, our DUI, if you get pulled over for DUI, you're going to a place that CenterPointe operates called LinkPoint. So the city needed that. We stepped up to help that happen. And then last is Megan Mosslander, who's our Director of Development and part of who helped do this today. So this team is the reason you can all feel comfortable and assured that CenterPointe will continue to surge forward and do well in the community, because this is a very bright, capable, passionate group of people who know how to do this and are a team I just love working with. So I have talked to them about our culture needs to be one where we're all in the ready position in sports. So any of you who played sports, especially with a ball, know about the ready position, where your hands are forward, your eyes are forward, your knees are bent, and shoulder width apart. You're ready to do anything at any time. That's the group that we want. That's the culture that we cultivate, in that we want to respond to the community and be able to provide the things that the community needs. So you might have heard about CCBHCs. It stands for Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic, and it's a Medicaid funding program that looks at providing whole health care. And CenterPointe really is that program. And the reason I got excited when CCBHCs were first talked about is because that's how we operated. And so to be able to be paid for that and supported in the work that we're doing was exciting to me. So it's things like same-day access. So when you show up to our front door at our outpatient clinic, you get helped. You get an intake and you get a comprehensive assessment, and then you'll be back within 5 days or so for your second appointment. So we want to be that place that in the community, you or your loved ones or the people you know can get the help when you need the help. We do other things, like I mentioned, the crisis response team that we have, that we're embedded with the Lincoln Police Department, and Melissa Ripley is here somewhere, who also is engaged. There she is out there. She did an auction wave like this. But Melissa has been instrumental, along with Matt Martinoski, who's probably at that same table, and Savannah Heflin, who are our team members who have done alternative response. So if you don't know, when you see somebody on the street who needs help, and they aren't violating the law in some way or appearing to be threatening, and you call 911 or the non-emergency number, dispatch will send our team out to that person. And I've lost track of the numbers in the last couple of months, but basically in the first year we did about 1,500 of those. Where our folks went out to the community to respond, rather than two officers having to respond and spend that same time. So it's a huge savings. It's appropriate response for the person who is in need, and has really been a great benefit in the community. All of this is state-of-the-art care. This is what you want in a great community. And if you're going to be a great community, these are the kinds of services that you want in the community. Communities are complex and multifaceted, and this has to be one of those facets and one of those elements. And it doesn't happen at all without community. And so I'm looking at Carol Ernst, who I've known forever, who has served on our board, served on staff, and is supporting in the community. Dottie and Bob Shapiro, Deb and Bruce Taylor, and Deb is our current board chair. So it is, and they're community members who have stepped up to support the mission of CenterPointe. And without that partnership, it doesn't happen. And when we did the ribbon cutting for our facility at 12th and South, the theme was partnership. And it was about the state partnering with us, and about the county partnering with us. And it was about the city partnering with us. And we have federal partners as well. All of that has been instrumental in CenterPointe, not only being able to provide the service, but be able to expand to other service. So the state of the art right now is what we try and deliver all the time. Currently, we're providing about 15 evidence-based practices in the work that we do. So it's the services that the studies have indicated, the evidence has indicated this is best practice. And we're doing about 15 of those in the daily work that we do throughout all our 40-plus programs. One of the things that is important to me, two things that are important to me actually, is integrity, which is our word, being trustworthy, and then the ethic of leaving the campsite better than I found it. And my parents taught me that. And so my effort in this has been to develop a team and pass this on to the team so the campsite is better than I found it, and one that they can thrive in. And I was a lucky guy in that I found my passion when I was about 21. And I slowly got in touch with that over time, but it wasn't till I was about 40 or 42 that I really embraced it. And what the wisdom tells us, if you read, has anybody read Sanskrit? No, I know you haven't. But if you read Sanskrit, what it'll tell you about is to find your passion, to find your bliss. Joseph Campbell talks about it in The Power of Myth. And bliss is your strength. It's your superpower. Everybody has one. The question is, have you found it? And if you find it, you'll go a million miles. So we've heard that in strength-based stuff from Don Clifton and other personality inventories. That is what we all need to find, our strength. And with that, you will go a million miles. Standing outside of that, you'll go 3 inches. So I was lucky to find that, to be able to be in my element for the last 32 years at CenterPointe, and many things helped me get there, including law school and developing my brain and having experiences in life. But it was really my passion that helped guide me through all that. And I've met so many of you in the course of that, and I appreciate you for being a partner with us. I appreciate you for being here and being part of this celebration and helping CenterPointe to carry on. So for me, 3 more months and I'm out. I'm going to be more with my family. I'm going to be traveling more. I'll read more. I'll work out more. And my wife would encourage me to cook more. And I'll spend a hell of a lot more time down at the Mill Telegraph than I do already. But the ask was, are you going to stay on? And what I can say in closing is, and June 30 at 5 o'clock. Boom. Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to introduce, what's her name? A woman I've come to love, who's been my partner in this in a big way. It's really been an interesting partnership because we don't really sit down and talk the detail of it. We just make it work with each other in a really smooth way. And so I've thoroughly appreciated that. When I first got to know Tammy, I saw her talent and started reeling her in because I knew she was going to be somebody who could help the organization go. And she was the human resource director for about 6 years and has been the chief operating officer, our first and only chief operating officer for about 11 years, and has really helped transform the organization internally, building culture, building the details of how to operate efficiently, and played a key role in our acquisitions, and has just been a marvel. So after 52 people applied to take the CEO job, Tammy was a clear choice. I didn't get to select. I just knew 1 + 1 was 2, and that everybody else would recognize that. So with that, I'm just going to say, please welcome the next CEO of CenterPointe, Tammy Lewis-Arnold.
Thank you, Topher. Stepping into this role is an incredible honor. I've seen firsthand the life-changing work and the impact that CenterPointe does. We meet people where they are, often in their toughest moments, and walk alongside them as they rebuild their lives. Our commitment to whole person care continues to grow, ensuring that our services are within reach for everyone who needs them most. For those of you in the room who I haven't met, I'm glad you're here today. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to future conversations, probably not at the mill because that's where Topher will be. And for our longtime supporters and friends and the people that are here for me and our partners, I say thank you for joining us. I'd like to take a minute to recognize one of our very valued partners, Genoa Pharmacy. When we moved into our campus for health and well-being, we were able to add Genoa Pharmacy to our location. They play a vital role in helping us deliver our services in a one-stop shop sort of fashion, and they help our individuals in supporting their needs for medication and their recovery and overcoming barriers. We are especially proud to share that Tara King, our Genoa pharmacist, was recently honored as one of the top 10 site managers out of 740 Genoa pharmacies. Congratulations, Tara. We're grateful to you. Tara, can you stand with your team? There they are. Tara and Adam from our pharmacy at Campus for Health and Wellbeing. I'm going to invite Juan Carlos Huerta up here, and in the meantime, thanks to Topher and his Topherism, this will be a working lunch, so we won't be taking a break to eat. You'll just eat while we talk, okay? I appreciate that. Juan Carlos is going to give us an invocation.
You already blessed it as you eat it. I like it that way. Let us center in this moment. Eternal One, for the food we are eating, for the community we're building, for the folks in the back who've been preparing it, for those who are serving it, for the folks who make sure we had a clean space to gather in, we give you thanks. So bless us in this gathering and stay with us and give us an energy for well-being for us, for our neighbors, for our city, and for the world. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Many of you may know Willie Miller as a former Nebraska Husker, but his greatest victories have come off the field. After battling substance use challenges and homelessness, Willie found strength to rebuild his life, earning his nursing degree from Creighton University and dedicating himself to helping others. His extraordinary compassion was recognized last year with the prestigious Daisy Award. Willie's story is one of resilience, redemption, and purpose, and I know you'll be inspired by his journey. Please help me welcome Willie Miller to the stage.
All right, so as she mentioned, my name is Willie Miller. I was a fullback a while ago down here in Lincoln. And I just want to start out with thanking all of you for being here today. This is a big, big deal. You guys all being here, being supportive, because in recovery, the way it works is the person can't do it by themselves, you know? And the thing is, the person, they have to be ready, but they have to have the resources available for them to take advantage of those resources and know what to do once they really are ready. Or else you're sitting there searching for a while. And that's part of my process, part of my journey. So I'm gonna try and do my best job. I've got my time slot here today, so I'm gonna keep this as short as I possibly can. So bear with me. So I'm just gonna talk to you guys a little bit about the journey and how that kind of took place. And to be honest with you, a lot of my journey, there's been a lot of things that have come to me more recently about the journey than it had earlier. As far as how did things begin, maybe what were some of the initial beginning thought process as to what happened. And so I went back and I started thinking a little bit as far as, because I'm first of all, let me just start off with the fact of, in addition to thanking you all for being here, a big, huge thank you I want to do right now is to my spouse, Carrie, who's sitting here at this front table. You know, Carrie is the woman who was a part of my life who was able to call me on the carpet and tell me I might have a problem. And now I've heard this before. I'd heard this for years. but I wasn't ready. But when my wife of today when it came out of her mouth, I was willing to take a look. Had she not done that, I wouldn't have looked in the mirror and took an honest look. So it starts with my wife, so thank you. In addition to that, I just want to say I'm from Nebraska. You know, we came to Nebraska when I was in the first grade. My dad was in the military. You know, he got stationed here at Offutt Air Force Base. I'm gonna tell you something, I'm a little slow because I've been here for quite a while, and I think it was maybe about a year or two, maybe 3 at max, that I heard the saying about the Offutt Air Force Base, that once you get on it, you never get off it. Okay, and like I said, I've been here since the first grade, and that was the first time I heard that. So I was like, great, all right, there's Offutt Air Force Base, which is correct because he did retire here, and I'm still here. Okay, so, but I am grateful for that because I do know that he did make a sacrifice for me to get my education. You know, he's from Mississippi. My dad and my mom are both from Mississippi. He was born in 43. My mom was born in 45. He went to school. He's the first one that got through elementary, middle school, college. He and my mom met at Tuskegee University. My mom was at Tuskegee at 16 years old. You know, she was a nurse. And before she retired, she's still alive today. My dad, you know, again, he retired as a major. And again, decided in the 4th grade to stay here so I could finish my schooling because he didn't want me to go down to Mississippi. He knew I'd have the best opportunity being here. Now, I didn't know this or feel this or view this that way my entire life. You know, it took me until more recently for me to understand that and to be able to acknowledge that. You know, what I did know about my dad is my dad was a very hard-laced man. You know, he didn't spare the rod at all. You know, it was a different generation. You know, I feared my dad. When my dad came into the room, I basically would cower because there was no playing around. There was no jokes, things like that. You had to be serious. I know today he was doing those things because he loved me. He was looking out for me. But during the time, I didn't have a clue. I didn't understand. He wasn't loving me the way I wanted to be loved, and that's what I saw at the moment. You know, as I look at things and I go back and I say to myself, how did this journey start? Where did some things begin? Because yes, I played football, but the thing about playing football growing up, when I started playing football, I didn't even like football, okay? I'm 7 years old playing with the 9 and 10-year-old kids because the weight limit is 105 pounds, and I'm 105 pounds. And I'm one of the quickest kids out there, so yeah, here we go. We're playing football. My mom wanted me to be in something, be active, you know, don't get in trouble. So I always love that, you know, when kids are doing things to keep them out of trouble. So that's kind of how that started. And of course, as soon as I started the sport, I'm a happy-go-lucky kid. I'm not one that's all about, I don't know. I wasn't a violent kid. I was a very peaceful, happy, joyful, joking, loving kid that got beat up and bullied just a little bit because I was a little silly. But I can share that what started my journey and what separated me from other people and from my peers was an incident that I had when I was in the 1st grade. Okay, and when I was sitting in the 1st grade, our librarian brings out a book, and she's gonna read this book to all of us, and I'm having fun, we're playing, you know, me and the other kids and everything else. Now, I'll just share with you, I didn't look like a lot of my classmates. I was actually the only classmate that looked like me. Now, our librarian, when she brought out this book, again, 1st grade, about 5 years old, this book, she kind of starts smiling and laughing. She's like, I had a great book for us all to read today. And she turns it around and she shows it to all of us, and it's called Willie the Wimp. But in Willie the Wimp, there's also a monkey that is Willie the Wimp that's on this book. So I'm sharing this to share with you that this was an incident that I couldn't truly understand, comprehend, or know what to do with those feelings or those emotions at the time. I just knew that it made me feel less than, it made me feel different, it made me feel like I wasn't the same as my friends, and then my friends started treating me just a little bit differently. So it was a weird scenario, that it was something that to me just didn't really make sense. And I didn't really even understand that event until just a little bit ago as I'm doing some really deep EMDR work, going back, processing. Where's the hurt? Where's the pain? Where are some certain things stemming from? And I can say that was one of those first things. And from that, I just kind of used that moment of that surprise, that shock surprise, to become decent at football. Because when I started that sport, like I said, I wanted to quit. The other kids had jokes and names. They called me Milky Wilkie just because I was nice. Eventually, about a year or two later, you know, I wanted to quit, of course, because I'm crying every day. And my mom says, no, Junior, that's my family name. You started this sport, you're going to finish it. because that's how we do things in our household. So I finished, and like I said, it wasn't like that year it clicked for me and all of a sudden football was great. No, it was about another year or two of going out there. And what I started doing though is on the field, I started letting out my emotions and my feelings, because again, as a man, you're taught, or I was taught, basically you're supposed to keep all those things in, all those feelings, all those emotions, all that stuff. And that didn't work for me, okay? It did until it didn't. It's like, and I had the football field to let it out on. And eventually, I got to Lincoln, all that good stuff, ended up being a person where in high school, leading the state of Nebraska and rushing my senior year, things like that, and got a full ride offer to go down to Lincoln. And it was, that whole process was awesome, and it was truly like a dream come true to go down. But the thing as well is that I did not like to block. That was one of the things that you have to do in Nebraska. If you want to play fullback, you have to block people, okay? That's a job that you have to do. And I was a guy that if the ball was not in my hand, I wasn't going to hit you, okay, in high school. If I was supposed to block you, I would purposely jump a little bit out of the way. I'd fall down. There'd be something that I would do, because I, in high school, was not about trying to be a Nebraska fullback, okay, because Nebraska fullbacks don't do that. Nebraska fullbacks get down and dirty every single play. There's a big linebacker coming straight at you. You got to go and meet that linebacker on, and you have to be selfless in that act, because it's not about you, it's about the team. And I can tell you that's one of the reasons why I wanted to play for Nebraska, is because in high school, I was a good athlete. I was one of the only people that worked really hard on my team, though, and we were just about a half and half team. We were like 5-5. I wanted to win. And in high school, I was watching Nebraska, and they were winning. That was 95, 96. They were winning. They were dominating people. And I knew that the only way in order for me to do that, to be a part of that team, was to do a job I did not want to do. Whew, that's a heck of a decision to make, right? But I tell you what, I made that decision based on the fact that I'm from here. I'm from Bellevue West. My high school coach, John Feynman, bless his soul, rest in peace, Coach Feynman, gave me an opportunity in high school to allow me to be the single back so that I can get my numbers back up after I had been in a car accident before my junior year. That had a lot of teams stop looking at me, because I had many offers after my sophomore year of high school. But all those offers pretty much were gone until in my senior year, and they all came again. So again, Nebraska has always been there, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for getting the opportunity to become a starter for them and play for them. Now I can tell you, once I got done with playing football, okay, because this is a whole long journey, and I'm going to try and keep to my time allotment that I've been given today. So I'm going to tell you, if you get an opportunity or have a chance, maybe Google. There's a Husker Army podcast that I did this last weekend. Maybe check it out a little bit, because I'm able to go a lot deeper into some of the things I'm going to just hit the surface level at today, okay? And so, I bring up that portion about when I'm done playing football, there's kind of like crash and burn, because again, I'm not able to communicate things. I'm not able to process my emotions. I'm not even able to recognize them. To me, I'm thinking, okay, the basics of emotions are happy, angry, break things. I mean, there's not the whole getting embarrassed. There's not the whole a person, due to them talking to you in a group setting, you notice that and they say something, so you're like, okay, yeah. We're able to go talk to them one-on-one and say, hey, you kind of said that in front of everybody. Maybe next time we can have a conversation one-off. Like, those are the kind of conversations you can actually have, productive ones, and accomplish things when you can recognize what's going on with you. But when you're broken and you don't really know, you don't know what you don't know, okay? So again, we're kind of jumping here a bit, but so that was the part with that, and then crashing and burning, like I said. And then once I was down, the problem for me personally is the beautiful thing you guys are doing and you are supporting is that you are bringing a whole group together. They have primary care for individuals. They have the homeless shelter basically for them to be able to have their housing, and they have the medical part where they have the medications and everything else. So by bringing all these resources together for somebody, you are allowing them to, again, be able to take advantage of those, because when you're not and you're lost and you're on your own in a sense, I went through about a 12-year period, and about 5 of those years was just trying to figure out what is going on with these medications. I'm on all these different medications, bipolar medications, that at the end of the day, it ends up that I'm not bipolar and I'm off of all those medications. But I didn't know that, right? And again, I'm not mad at the doctors that decided that, because again, as they're asking me things, my honesty about my drinking and things like that is what I truly believe at that moment. And I know now that I was a binge drinker, that when I drank until it was gone. But at the moment and during those times, didn't really recognize that. I thought I drank just like everybody else. You know, you don't know what you don't know. So, you know, there's that portion of it. And so there's just, like I said, you guys are really streamlining, because we talk about expenses, and we talk about, people will sit there and they think that by doing this is going to cost a lot of money, right, to help somebody out. But the thing that people don't talk about and don't think about a little bit is kind of the beginning of the stream and the end of the stream. And it's kind of like, if you catch things kind of at the beginning and helping them, then that's when they're actually ready, that's when things can turn around and be okay. But when a person doesn't have that, again, it costs you a lot of money. I personally was on disability for 10 years because I was so checked out. You know, I had gotten in trouble. I had gotten a felony for a road rage incident with a person that happened to be an off-duty officer. And from that point, my life was gone. It was done. You know, my six-figure job was gone, the marriage was gone, the house was gone, you know, and life, I had to really do a lot of, honestly, I did a lot of just checking out. And so when it came to, say, appointments and things like that, trying to get rides, I'd go to my appointments the best I could. When you couldn't make it, though, I couldn't make it. And I got to a certain point here where I was so bad, meaning the communication or going to an appointment, I just sleep through it because I'd be so depressed and so down and out that I basically stopped going, in a sense. And I got to a certain point where I'm sitting there, I don't barely have any money, I'm scrounging around trying to just find enough food in my car to be able to feed my daughter. I mean, that's the kind of situation that's going. And the other reason why I'm also emotional about the fact that you guys are helping people that are in this situation, because when they're having them respond with first responders, that is huge. Because when somebody is in a mental health crisis, you don't know really what you're doing. You're not purposely trying to hurt anybody, but you are lost. And you're kind of needing an adult in the room to help you and help guide you. And so I've had a couple situations with myself that included some officers that I truly got lucky, I got blessed, I got fortunate, because I was dealing with Douglas County, and I had a nurse practitioner that was a person, but you can never get a hold of them. I was in a crisis moment. It just happened that God made it connected, and that person was able to call in to get me out of a situation that was going on. But this situation that happened, it wasn't necessary, and it didn't need to happen. But it was just one of those situations where no one knew how to de-escalate it, you know? And from that point is when I had left, and I went down to Mississippi for a little bit, because I needed my mom. I needed my mom, okay? Because I knew that if I went down there and was around my mom, I could make it to my different appointments. My mom was gonna take me. I was gonna be there. I was gonna be safe. I was gonna have somebody safe with me. And that was huge. So that's kind of how my journey started, and kind of started to rebound, was going down there, getting around my mom. And then from there, here's the thing. I have always been a person that's loved other people, but I have learned to hide that, because I don't want you to be able to hurt me. I don't want you to know how much I care about other people, right? So I'd hide that. I'd wear this mask so you wouldn't know that about me. And the beautiful thing is that today I get to be that person again, and it took me drinking myself into a coma, having a bright light experience, which I go deeper into, in order to have a value about myself, to have a self-love and a self-appreciation. Because up until that point, I didn't have it. Yes, I may have accomplished things where I was a starting fullback at Nebraska, but I had some major issues where I'm thinking my dad hates me. You know, this man and I all I wanted was this guy's love and appreciation. And here he is. And once I get sober, the beautiful thing is that through discussions with my dad, I was able to talk to him about some of those different situations. You know, I was able to talk to him about how he was the way he disciplined and everything else. And then he was able to share with me a little bit about maybe why and some of the things that he had done. And I had went off on him back in the day. He would always say to me, son, just keep on living. He's like, I love you. He didn't say I love you, sorry. But he was just like, just keep on living. You'll have a better understanding someday. You know, and he's right. That's where I'm at today. And it's like in turning my life around, I knew from that moment of having drank myself into a coma, my life was done. I had been on disability at that point for about 8 years. I was at 400 pounds for about a decade, and it was over. It was over. I helped someone else. That's the thing, getting out of self. Somebody called me, I was there for them. I took their call, was there for a little while, just a friend, a fan actually, that reached out of nowhere. This is when Messenger just first came out, basically, with Facebook. Just reaching out, touching base, saying, hey, he was a huge fan, really enjoyed watching me play, wanted to know if I could talk to him, and I did. Well, that individual was the one that lined me up with a foundation called the Nebraska Greats Foundation. And the Nebraska Greats Foundation is a foundation that took care of and paid for my back surgery. Okay, and by them paying for my back surgery, that's what allowed me to get back on my feet. So when I say it takes a community, when somebody is truly lost, that is what I'm referring to. I couldn't pay for my own surgery. I had no clue how to do that. Again, I've got my mom there helping me down in Mississippi to get to some of these appointments and to do some things. But again, that's how the journey started. That's how it began. And it's like I had my incident. From that, I woke up on fire, passionate about returning to who I was as a kid before that day in first grade. Okay, about loving everybody else, about giving love, about enjoying life. And I had the passion that I was going to become a nurse, just like my mom, right? Because as a kid, I've always wanted to be a nurse. But you couldn't say that as a kid back in the day, okay, without the jokes and everything else, because guys, it was just the way things were back in the day. Okay, but today, you know, it's open, it's accepted, and I love being a nurse. And to be able to actually have reached that goal, you know, I talk to people saying that, yes, I have a felony. Yes, I've had marriages I've been through. Yes, my life is a mess. Yes, I'm on disability. But by the grace of God, something is happening. I am becoming the person I have been meant and called to be. I'm going to get into Creighton. And the thing at that time is that, again, I had my felony, but it wasn't a violent offense. It wasn't drug related. I was open and honest with Creighton. I was a 3.5 graduate from down here at Lincoln because I didn't play around. When I was down here, I did football and I did school. Football and school. Football and school. That's it. Because that's the one thing people can never take away from you is your education. So they saw I had a 3.5. I did my prereqs through Metro Community College, had straight A's and all those things, statistics, you know, AP 1 and 2, biology, chemistry, and I'm a nerd, so I love stoichiometry and chemistry, like those type of things. Like I love doing that kind of stuff. It's fun to me. But Creighton allowed me to come into their doors because they said that they saw a new person. They recognized that I had the academic means, I had tested well and done all the things I needed to do. They saw that there were people that were willing to vouch for me, vouch for the changes I had made in my life and who I was. And that I truly was a person that had made a very dumb decision and done a dumb act, but it wasn't who I was and it wasn't what I was about. So they allowed me to come to Creighton. And in getting to Creighton, that's an accelerated program, so that's, everybody talks about two-a-days. Yes, two-a-days down here were very challenging. It was very challenging down here, yes. But I'm gonna tell you what, doing an accelerated program at Creighton, a 12-month nursing program, that was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And not just because I was 42 years old, it's a hard freaking program. These other youngsters, I was looking at them. I was like, thank goodness you're struggling looking at some of these other kids and stressed out and pulling your hair and losing hair and stuff, because I'm like, I don't really have any more to lose. And, you know, again, I'm an old man, so it's good to see that other people are struggling in this as far as when it was at Creighton. The other thing too is getting through Creighton, being who I was, loving all my patients, getting job offers, things like that. But as I got to the end, I still had to apply to the nursing board. I had to get their permission to take the NCLEX. So I reach out to the board and I apply. You know, I have to write the letters. I have to have people write it on my behalf. And then the board, they allow me to take the NCLEX. I take the NCLEX. I walk out from the NCLEX. I get this said car from the NCLEX, and I ball from the NCLEX, okay? Because that was another one of the hardest things I ever did. And at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, ooh, this right here is the moment when your life can actually change. And I'm talking about change from, again, haven't been that 400 pounds for that long, being on disability. There's a lot at stake. And I tell you what, by the grace of God, you know, I passed on that first time, and then the board made their decision to issue me a free and clear license. which is amazing when a person has had some issues in the past with any substances and alcohol, or any behavioral type issues. So that right there was indicative of their faith in me and their belief in me. And I knew that had I not gone and graduated from a university like Creighton, that it wouldn't be the same. I mean, again, it was a respectable university. So, here I am today, and it's like I go into the OR from that. I've enjoyed it. It's been great. I go over it. The next thing is like now I'm doing health and wellness and at clinics. And the thing that I truly enjoyed the most about being a nurse, and while I was doing my clinical rotations, was seeing other nurses receive the Daisy Award. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Now, I didn't necessarily, for me personally, I didn't want the award as in just to get an award. I loved what the award was about. When somebody got the Daisy Award and they issued it and they talked about that person, they talked about the care they gave that patient, I said to myself, that right there, I would love. I mean, if that happens in my career, and it happened. It happened, guys, within the first 2.5 years. It happened, and that right there just lets me know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path and where I need to be. And things have changed in life. Recovery has taught me a lot. Relationships have changed. My dad and I are extremely close. All the things he had done previously that I thought were bad, like he'd come to my games, he'd show up down here, and he'd, Free Willie is what he'd love to say, or it's Miller time. Okay, he'd have a good, it's Miller time. Free Willie, old Big Red. My dad, he had him a good old time. And I used to be so embarrassed. I would be. I'd be so embarrassed. And I'd be like, all right, he's drinking. He got his drink in him. He's feeling good. And that's all I could think about, because I'm saying to myself, this man has not hugged me. He has not told me he loves me. He has not said, son, I am so proud of you. I mean, how dare I? Those were my thoughts about my dad. And like I said, through getting sober, through getting closer to him, through having these conversations, I've learned that my dad loved me way more than I could have imagined. Way more. And I'm like, I spent 40 years thinking the man hated me and was disappointed. And then I was a disappointment. And never once have I been a disappointment to him or my mom. They hurt. They hurt while they saw me at rock bottom. And they helped until they couldn't help. So that's the thing. You guys are on that part of the helping once the person's ready, like I said. Because you can help a family member when they're in addiction, you can help them a little bit, but you have to be careful. You have to be careful that you don't enable. Because I had people that enabled me. And at the end of the day, they had to step away. And once they truly stepped away, and I truly was able to fall flat on my face and realize I fully had an issue, is when the change happened. Okay? And so, like I said, from this is what I do now, is I just go and I share these things, because I have tried so many times to take my life, guys. I can't tell you truthfully how many times I've taken a bottle of pills, where that was a bottle of hydrocodone that were 5 or 10 milligrams with the 650 acetaminophen combination, okay? Or whether it was a bottle or half a bottle of Xanaxes, or when I slipped my wrist and a friend came while I was trying to bleed out. Like I said, there have just been times that I truly did not want to be here anymore, but I am here. I am here. And like I said, when I drank myself into that coma, the bright light experience that I had, that was what let me know that I'm on track. This is just, and there's nothing I would change about my journey. Not a thing. Even the harm I've done to some people, I truly am sorry, and I've gone back to anyone and everyone that I can and made the amends to the best of my ability. But had I not done those things, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I've learned for today. I wouldn't be standing here in front of you guys today. I wouldn't be a man that's truly filled with nothing but gratitude for the freedom to be able to be a nurse, to be able to care for others, to be able to love on others, to try and make my mom and my dad proud today. Because football was a fun game, don't get me wrong, but football's not life. This is life. Life, you get knocked down in different kinds of ways. And sometimes, it's kind of like a concussion, it takes a little while to get up if you get up. I'm one of the fortunate ones. There's so many that have been down this path that are not here today at all. But again, you guys in this room, you are the ones, though, that can make a difference for them in the future. So I'm just grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for you to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to try and be able to share my story in this window I had. I know I went over, so please forgive me on that. But again, thank you guys again so much. Topher, thank you, and CenterPointe, thank you so much for everything you're doing for everybody.
What a complicated journey you've had, and what testimony to resilience and the human spirit and whole person care at the right time in the right ways that gave you this Willie Miller. What a guy. I love the line. I talked about passion and so on. And he said, through nursing and getting into school allowed me to be the person I was called to be. And that's a person in touch with passion. So thank you, Willie, for all of that. I appreciate you being here and helping people to understand what that journey looks like. So at CenterPointe, we believe in meeting people where they are. Not where we think they ought to be, but where they actually are. And so if you imagine coming to a 5-year-old and you're going to connect with the 5-year-old, you don't stand above them and go down. You go down on one knee and you connect right here. That's meeting people where they are. And understanding the experiences of people that we serve is important, and meeting in them where they are is important. So now we'd like to share a short video that highlights the heart of what we do and why your support matters.
Growing up in a broken home, I had parents who were alcoholics. I dealt with sexual abuse at a young age. I grew up so uncomfortable in my skin, very angry. I struggled with substance abuse from the time I was about 15 years old. I was getting expelled from school for fighting, hanging out with gang members. At about, I think I was 14, and I went to my first group home. I was out of control. That was pretty much all of my teenage years, just in and out of the system. I started selling drugs at about 18. By the time I was 20 years old, I was federally indicted for distribution of a hazardous drug. I did about 5 years in federal prison. I got out, not really understanding that it was an addiction problem. I just thought that I broke the law. I ended up relapsing, drinking, and then using drugs again. I was on the run from the marshals. I ended up going back to jail, back to prison, group homes, jail, institutions, rehabs, jail again, prison, you name it. It was a cycle. My federal probation officer told me about CenterPointe and got in shortly after.
CenterPointe's a healthcare organization that provides services for people who have mental health, substance use, primary care issues generally, and then we provide ancillary services like housing and basic needs. Also, we do crisis response, street outreach, really provide a continuum of care to help people in the community get better as soon as they can for longer. CenterPointe operates 40+ programs. We provide services in Lincoln and Omaha. We have 14 facilities. People don't get better on the street. They really need a roof over their head, food in their belly, clothes on their back. We then start there with the basic needs and then get them into the care they need to start down that road of recovery. One of our taglines is healthy minds and bodies, strong communities. That's who we are. The magic to what we've done over 51 years is listen to who's at the front door. We have been evidence-based in what we do. We've been integrated, holistic, and meet people where they are, not where we think they ought to be.
I remember how welcoming the admissions team was, and I really needed that. They met me where I was at. The staff members really came alongside me and treated me as a human being, as a person. I spent about 8 years altogether in prison, and you're a number. It's the opposite at CenterPointe.
One of the pieces of magic in healthcare is approaching people in a way that's dignified, respects them, and helps give them hope. And when you do that, light opens up for them. To the person walking in the door, you'll get better and find happiness.
My heart is to help people. It's almost like a dream working on the other side. I'm so shocked at the transformation in my life. I just have a different mind, a different mindset. Like everything has changed. I have my kids back. I have my entire family. It went from, that scary person that nobody wanted around because they never knew what she was gonna do, to people call me for advice, people call me for help. It's a testimony of what can really happen in someone's life. And one of the biggest messages I like to share with people is nobody is too far gone.
When we say words like substance abuse, we're really saying to the person, you are being bad for beating up on those substances. And they're telling you, I'm not being bad, these things are kicking my tail. We don't want to be negative or harmful to them and push them away. We want to be strength-based, positive as we engage with them to begin to walk them down the road.
I do not believe that you can stop addiction on your own without that mental health piece. If it was as easy as, oh, just stop, then everybody would be sober. It's something that completely consumes you. It's like you're trapped in your own body and you're making decisions that you don't want to make. That is a human being who has value, who is worthy of love. They just have so much potential.
So many people being able to say I'm better as a result of what we're doing, that's hard to describe. But not more than half of the people who have mental health issues get care. So we're still behind in what we're doing to serve the entire community. This does not exist on its own. We need everyone's help.
This is an organization that truly helps people. I don't think I would be alive today if I didn't get help from CenterPointe. I feel like life is actually new for me, just becoming the woman I believe that I was meant to be. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and it just reminds me like, this is worth it.
There's nothing better than connecting with someone who's been through a tough journey and comes out the other side and says things like that. You're connecting with somebody right in their heart and being the woman I was meant to be, right? She's connecting with that passion. So our next speaker is, so this is the part where everybody cuts the check for $1 million, okay? Because you're like crying and you go, oh yeah, we got to do this. So the next speaker is Juan Carlos Huertas, who has become a friend of mine and somebody that we connect in that same way. He is the Minister of Proclamation and Practice at First Plymouth Congregational Church. He's a graduate of Emory University's Candler School of Theology and has spent his career connecting people with their neighborhoods and advocating for a compassionate world and helping people really connect here to a spirituality and an existence in their world that's satisfying. And so with that, my friend, Juan Carlos Huertas.
The needs are overwhelming, aren't they? And even in this room, if the statistics are right, about 16% of us struggle with a substance use disorder. In this room. A little over 20% of us struggle with mental health disorders of all types. Right here, in this room. Anxiety, depression, and all sorts of other ways of being human in this room. We get our notifications on our iPhones and some of us shake because there's just so much happening in our lives. We don't need one more thing. And yet here we are together. So I roll out of bed in the mornings a few blocks away from the corner of 20th and D, and my question is, what can Juan Carlos do on that day to help make the communities that I serve more whole communities? What can I do when the world seems to be on fire? What can I do when there's other bad news that are coming from my own community? Just not too long ago, out of my own neighborhood, bad news. What am I going to do with these bad news? And so I remind my own community, I cannot help 300,000 people, but I think we can help 5,000 people. See, that's the number of folks in our census tract. Census tract 17, if you're one of those geeky, curious folks. And so we ask, what can I do for these 5,000 people? And who are the partners with me in that journey, right? Because I cannot do it alone, and even First Plymouth cannot do it alone. Who are the partners in that journey? And I'm still so thankful that one of those days, almost 4 years ago now, Topher was one of those folks who said, I want to know more. How can we help the 5,000 people in your census tract? And so little by little, moment by moment, movement by movement, one walk at a time, we begin to coalesce resources and ideas, and we begin to dream dreams and see visions. See, imagination is the antidote to hopelessness. And community is the antidote to all those things that bind us. Whatever is binding you today, the antidote is community. And so here we are around tables together, and it's interesting tables. We're gathered with co-workers mostly in these tables. But look at this room. Look at this room, Topher. We have all we need in this room to make Lincoln a better place. We have all we need for folks to find healing from their substance use disorders. We have all we need for folks to find orientation in the midst of their disorientation. We have all we need in this room, all the resources we need in the midst of federal cuts to budgets and in the midst of shortages of all sorts of things, because there is enough. There's enough here. And we haven't even gone out the door yet. So here is what I hope you think about today. There is a lot happening in the world, and it is so disorienting and discouraging and overwhelming. And I don't know about you, but there are moments in these days that I just want to stick my head in the sand and go forward for 10 years. Can you wake me up in 10 years? Let me know how things go. But the opposite has to happen. Let us open our eyes. Let us remain awake. Let us go across tables from our workplaces. In fact, before you leave today, go across a table and meet someone in another workplace or in another social service agency or in another partner. Can we begin dreaming together just a little bit? Can we begin sharing hopes? Can we begin webbing our being human together and opening our eyes to the realities we're seeing and imagining a brighter future, a better future, a stronger future, a more hopeful future, a more robust future, a future where everyone has enough, where healing is possible, where hope emerges. And I believe that if we do that today, we might not worry about what's happening in other places, but can we worry in the days ahead about what's happening in your corner of your neighborhood? And you join hands with your fellow table mate, just so we'll continue to join hands as First Plymouth with CenterPointe, and we're going to ask that question every single day: how can we help our neighbors find healing again, sustenance again? How can we help them be oriented again? How can we help them connect again to who they are, as Willie was saying, who they are, who they've been made to be, the dignity, affirmation that they need, so that all of them know that they're not alone. We have an opportunity to do that today, in this room, in this moment, as we join hands together, so that CenterPointe continues to to make the partnerships needed all across Lincoln, this web of relating that we have, this web of being human that we have, this web of healing and new life that we have right here in this room, because CenterPointe makes it possible. In all of us together help CenterPointe make it possible. So here's what I want you to do. You know you're here so that CenterPointe can have a future, right? That's why there are envelopes on your table. If you've never been to one of these things, then you might not know, but the truth is we need your financial resources. And you're going to have a QR code. There, oh, look at that. Look at the magic. And in this era where there are funding, struggles, I believe Lincolnites have enough in Lincoln to care for each other. And we at First Plymouth are going to continue caring for our neighbors, and then we're going to continue connecting with CenterPointe, and you and your businesses and nonprofits are going to continue to do that, but it begins right here, right now, today, by you making a gift so that the next year can be the best year yet, not just for CenterPointe, but for the neighbors and friends and coworkers and family members who enter those doors, and all of a sudden, for the first time, as they enter those doors, many of them sense their true humanity. For the first time, they get looked in the eye and treated with such love and acceptance and dignity that begins to shift their view of themselves. Oh, for the first time, see, places of hope right here, right now in Lincoln, Nebraska. And it doesn't matter what happens, I know that in this room, right here, right now, in this room, there is all we need for you, for your healing, and for the healing of our city. Get online right now, and let's do it together.
You're hired. Yeah, call to action is a big part of it, and action is what? Now, don't you go anywhere. Action is a big part of what First Plymouth Congregationalist Church has done. In that they say the words, but then they connect with the community, and they connect with community partners like CenterPointe. Like the number of partners probably fills two hands that you connect with.
Yeah, they're here. Some of you are here.
Yeah, and so they're stirring the pot in a way that's making a difference to people by doing things like reducing medical debt and reaching out and creating the Hope House and having lectures on hope, on dignity, and creating the Year of Hope. So years ago, I ran into a concept of social entrepreneurship, and it is people who are in business, who are in the community, who are doing well at what they do, but they're also doing good. And so then what was born out of that it was the Community Conscience Award. And it's for organizations, people, civic groups who are doing good while doing well. And so this year, I want to award First Plymouth the Community Conscience Award for doing good in terms of the mission of the church, but doing well in the community for all the people that you're helping and the impact that you're making, not only in your neighborhood, but the ethic of the community. And
all right, so I'm going to call my leaders. Oh, Amanda Barker, Bill Edmond, will you come and accept the award with me? Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill Edmond. Come on. Come on, Amanda. See, these are the leaders that make it happen, not me. I get to talk about it.
Bill's one of my high school friends.
Go ahead.
No, thank you. Look at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congrats.
Yeah. A second.
Yeah. So at this point, I am going to bring this to a close by again saying thank you. It's really my honor to have been a part of this. I can't even tell you my experience. It's so much bigger than I am, and there's there's nothing greater to be in a dream where you see the goal and then you sail right by your goal. That's what my life has been like. And so I really appreciate all of you playing part of that dream and that life, and listening to the charge to this community where we all need to continue to hold hands to serve the 5,200 plus people that are coming into CenterPointe this year, and help them get the care they need so they can re-engage and be up on stage later in life, like Willie was today, to say, I've been through trials and tribulations, I found the resilience to get better, and here I am today, being the person I was called to be, finding happiness and pleasure in living. And that's our charge as a community. So with that, thank you, thank you, thank you.